What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Movies. My name is Brad.
My name's Miguel.
First live show of 2025. It's been a hot minute since we've had the pleasure of gracing your television or phone or computer or
corrupting it or phishing your
whatever
emails.
However you choose to watch or listen to us. It's been a little while, but hope you've been well. Hope you've been taking care of yourself. Hope you had a good Hollywood season. Wow, that's where my brain was. I was just reading an article about the fires. That's why my brain is in Hollywood. Holiday. That's where that sentence was supposed to go. Hope you had a good holiday season, not Hollywood season, whatever the hell that means. Been a little while. Glad we're here. Glad we're back. Couple of things going on tonight. This is episode 126 of the Let's Talk Movies podcast. On tonight's show, got a few channel updates for the new year. Some things we're going to change, revamp a little bit. We are reviewing Robert Eggers NOSFERATU, as you can see, the beautiful, gorgeous chunk of man with the long fingernails and the veiny phalanges on his nice furry coat of a hand. That gorgeous figure behind me and Miguel in the thumbnail. We are reviewing Robert Eggers NOSFERATU, which I will say, now that I've had time to really, if you saw the little parking lot review like we tend to do after we walk out of a film, Miguel and I were tripping after we saw NOSFERATU in a good way, the way that you want to be after you see a film. And now that it's had time to settle and I've had time to digest it, I'm like, okay, I'm here for it. It was dope. I'd actually really like to watch it again at some point. I'm gonna make my wife watch it. I think she.
Are you really?
I explained it to her and she was kind of like, that sounds cool. I was like, I think as she's a book reader, this is gonna sound weird.
NOSFERATU a book?
No. But she is a musical theater person, which a lot of times there's a lot of like subtext, like things like woven into the story. I think she would appreciate the symbolism of what some of it means, you know?
I don't know about that.
I don't know. She may hate it. I mean, who knows? I don't know. But I do kind of want her to watch it at some point. I feel like she might enjoy it. But NOSFERATU, the most heartwarming movie of the entire year. And we're also going to share our thoughts on
romantic comedy classic, if I do say so.
Add it to like Legally Blonde, you know. Add it to the list of the greats, you know. Love Actually, you know. But we're also going to talk 28 Years Later, which I actually just read today. A really interesting article about that. And I don't know how I feel about it. I'm very excited. I have wanted a sequel to 28 Days Later, which is one of my, it's maybe in my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. And I've begged for a sequel to that movie for so long. And now I feel like we're getting it, and I'm very excited, but I'm also, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. I am, but I use the word cautiously very strongly because I don't want them to screw it up. I'm going to be really pissed off if they just completely.
Well, I mean, it's the same director,
throw it out into
same company, same studio, same producers,
and that's what I keep telling myself is that Danny Boyle and Alex Garland wouldn't have. You know, he even said the reason he never came back to it was because he never felt like he had the right story, and if he wants to do a trilogy, he must have the right story at this point. Like,
and even
you have to.
And even like with the characters and casting, I'm not really all that concerned either because I don't know. Aaron Taylor Johnson isn't even. I wouldn't consider him like a terrible choice. I would actually consider him a decent choice.
Yeah, it's got a good cast. Ralph Fiennes too. I mean, there's some really good cast members in it. So I'm excited to see what they do. But there's quite a bit to kind of dive into with that as well. So but yeah, so we'll do a little bit of all of those things. And we'll just kind of catch up and have a good old time too. So real quick, Aaron Click, what's going on, man? Ryan Olikow, I assume that's how you say it. What's up, buddy? Dope profile picture. First of all, what are you drinking? You have to be drinking a beer. Surely you're drinking a beer, right?
Are you drinking a beer? Last couple episodes we've had prior, you've had tea, so I don't want to hear it.
Bro, we haven't had a live show since like October.
Okay, yeah, that's true. And guess what? I remember
Maybe
the last
since
time you drank
September.
something. Yeah.
I am so. You know that I love Miguel. I mean, you know that I love the holiday beers. Like any of the
Mm-hmm.
beers that come out between October and January, I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
boom, like that is my time. The Oktoberfest stuff, the Thanksgiving and the Christmas beers. So
Mm-hmm.
I stocked up on them. Anytime I saw one that I was like, ooh, that looks good, buy it. That looks good,
Really?
buy it.
I didn't know that. How much
Yep.
money did you spend on holiday beers? Tell me
I don't
that.
know. I didn't buy that much. We're talking like I bought like 3 6-packs maybe, but over the course of
Three
the
six
month
packs?
of
Okay.
December,
We're
yeah.
talking if we're talking about like
Well, it's
artisanal
funny.
beer, we're looking at around like I don't know, like what, $40 right there?
Yeah, we're not
Just
talking about
three
expensive.
6-packs?
Yes, Aaron, you are correct. That Elysian Night Owl Pumpkin Ale is really, really good. It is. And I actually, you'll appreciate this. So we kind of paused at this little break we had in the channel. We paused after the first episode of the Halloween Horror Highlights show, that series that we kind of kicked off during Oktoberfest. It does taste like pumpkin pie. Aaron, you're 100% correct. I actually bought a bunch of Halloween beers because they still had them at Kroger. So I bought a bunch of them for when we do the Halloween episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So that I have something to drink.
What, you
But I
think
also
they're
bought
gonna
up.
make it again next year? I think they will.
Yeah, but I don't want to wait a year. I want to have some of them I want to be in the Halloween spirit when we film those, man. I want
Yeah,
to
I
be
guess
there.
that's fair.
This is a Mad Tree Holidays. It's an IPA, which I know IPAs aren't everybody's thing, but whatever. It's
I
an
used to hate
IPA,
IPAs.
and but now you don't. Now your taste buds have matured, my friend. Am I right?
I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm right. Come on, I'm right.
Okay. Well, that's not to say I wouldn't like a light beer still. I'll still take
Yeah.
down
Well, of
like a
course.
6-pack.
Of course.
But I told who'd I tell? I told somebody. I said since I'm bi-weekly, I said the first week of my payday I'm strictly IPAs, but on the second week I'm strictly light beer.
Yeah.
So like I'll probably get like a West 6 first week, and then the second week is going to be, which you could tell which part of the week I'm in right now. So
yeah. Michelob is probably well, I actually take that back. Of the of like the standard tier, like I'm not talking like super low, like I'm not a Busch Light kind of guy, but of like the yeah, we're not a
Natty
Keystone family.
Light.
Of the main normal tier beers that you go, like you want a 6-pack of something just to sip on. What's your go-to?
Oh, it's Michelob. Yeah.
Michelob is a solid choice. Jay from Wham would appreciate that.
I'll tell you this. I used to be in college.
A
I used
stripper?
To be I used to be up and down that pole, bitch.
Miguel was
$1 is $1. I'll say that. I said what I was gonna say is in college I was very much a PBR guy, and then I had that I think a month and a half ago, just a tall boy PBR, and I was like,
yeah, same kind of deal. I think I was at a bar with you like a few years ago, and I think you went and got us a PBR, and I was like, this is kind of gross.
Yeah,
this is not good. Like I don't know why I'm drinking this.
That's a quick drink beer. Yeah. You are down that in less than 2 minutes.
See, Aaron, the thing is, a lot of people are like, IPAs are disgusting. I don't know how you drink that. I've always, from the time I started drinking, I've always liked IPAs.
No,
I don't know why.
I didn't like them. I really didn't. I didn't like them at first.
I will say,
I was probably in the same camp as you, Aaron.
It's very much a mature. It's
okay. I won't go that far. It's not mature taste. It's an acquired taste. I'll give him that. It's not mature taste. Get the fuck out of here. Don't be like those. Don't be those coffee drinker hippies that are strict on their taste.
I am like that about tea.
I wouldn't drink a Keurig because it's just hot water. Shut up, Dio.
Whatever. Gory Tiger, what's up, buddy? How's it going, man? Been a while.
Hi, man.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, of the normal beers, I've kind of found myself drinking more Sam Adams than anything else. I do. I like Sam Adams. Is what it is.
I don't really. I guess I don't. I don't drink that much to
I mean,
no.
Granted, I also like all of their. I like all of their like seasonal flavors too, like their Oktoberfest stuff, their
Mm-hmm.
Halloween stuff, their Christmas stuff. You know, I like all of that. But
Mm.
I found myself getting into Sam Adams. So couple things. So let's start off here. So this is episode 126. I said that we had a couple of channel updates, and those kind of tie into this little break we had. So like, being 100% honest with you, I genuinely needed a break from this. Like, we never said,
You need
hey,
a break from me.
I did. No, I didn't. I never said like, hey, we're going to take a break. We're going to pause this. I was to a point with like not that anything was bad. There was nothing wrong.
Yeah, we don't hate each other. We just dislike each other.
No, not between us, but even in like my life, like nothing was wrong. Like things were going well. I just had like between my job and my family and like there were a lot of things on my plate, and I hated to stop when we did with the Oktoberfest stuff. But I was just like, which we made it through Oktoberfest. It wasn't like I'm probably making a bigger deal out of this than I need to, but that's been the reason for this couple month drop in content and in us being around. I needed as much as I didn't want to, I needed to kind of hit pause for myself and just like refocus myself on some other things. And you know, like I've said on the channel, like I'm a public school teacher. Like there's just the holidays going on. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and I needed to take a step back and chill for a little bit. So that's why we were gone. So I apologize. That's largely my fault, but
that's a long version of saying he got burnout. So
I did
just for a little bit.
Well, and part of it, and
honestly
again,
happens.
The reason this kind of ties into the channel update stuff is because, you know, I think it's important. You know, filling up your plate to the point of like exhaustion isn't. Mm-hmm. It's just it's not good for like your mental health. It's not good for your physical health. Like I needed to kind of like self-evaluate and shuffle things around a little bit. And the channel was starting to feel like an obligation to dates and times that I wasn't meeting. Like I wanted to get content out like every other day. I wanted to do like I had so many things that like boxes that I wasn't checking for the channel, and it was killing me. Like it was absolutely killing me, and I felt like we were just like failing at this in general. And I was like, okay, let's reevaluate this and let's take a minute and let's figure out a better way to do this, because I don't ever want Let's Talk Movies to feel like something else that I have to get done, because we love this and we love making content and we love hanging out with you all and talking about movies and things. But, you know, so just remember, for my advice to anybody, if you're feeling that burnout, don't ever knock yourself for pulling back and pumping the brakes and giving yourself some slack, because I needed that, and I needed to, as much as I didn't want to, I needed to step away for a little bit. So again, nothing was even wrong. Like that's the thing, is like there are times in life where it's like nothing is even wrong. It's just like
it just burned out.
I need time. Like I just need to chill. I need time to not focus on making content. And
yeah, it had nothing
now
to
we're
do
to
with
the
me
point.
being a piece of shit. So you know,
no,
whatever.
We broke up like 4 or 5 times, me and Miguel, but it's okay. We're here. We're back together. I'm kidding. But yeah, I just needed some time to rest and get away from it, and now I'm excited to be back. And I have a ton of new ideas for content, and we're gonna list out some of the goals that we have for the new year, and some ways that I think we're gonna make some things a little bit better for the channel. So first of all, we're gonna try and release content every other week, and I think, you know, I went into the new year last year with this goal of, hey, we're going to get content out every single week, like every single Tuesday, every Saturday, something like that. Didn't happen. It was boxes that I wasn't checking, and it was weighing on me. Whether it is pre-produced content, whether it's a live stream, I think that'll give me the creative freedom, because, you know, I largely edit a lot of our stuff, and that'll give me the freedom to not feel like I have to spend like all of my time editing videos and things like that. So whether it's a live stream, whether it's a pre-recorded thing like our movie news videos, the horror highlights thing, which we're going to continue because we kicked that off with the Oktoberfest event. We really enjoyed it. I think both of us had a good time doing that. We want to move past that. Of course, we started Halloween and then we kind of dropped off. So we're going to pick back up with Halloween 2 in the next couple of weeks. And I assume we'll continue that throughout the year with some different horror flicks as well. I like doing the my horror retrospectives thing. There's a whole playlist of different, just kind of me like taking a glance back at previous horror films that I enjoy. I've done one on Texas Chainsaw 3D. I've done one on the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Just films that I enjoy. So every other week is the goal, to have something, whether it's a live stream, whether it's a pre-produced video. So that's kind of we're gonna approach the channel from that perspective starting in the new year. And like I said, that horror highlights series is going to continue for other horror films and franchises as well, which is pretty. Which I'm excited about. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited to finish the Halloween franchise. I really am. I have all of them planned out, like my top moments from just about everyone. I think
every single one of the films.
I think I got to do the Rob Zombie ones and the Blumhouse trilogy, and that's about it. But that'll come pretty simply.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, because it's so fresh in your mind, and considering the fact that
exactly, yeah,
I'll probably watch like the I guess I could say legacy films, legacy sequels, right? Is that what I would call?
Sure.
I'm looking no. I guess
whatever they call them.
That's what I would have to like do, is review those. I don't know. The Blumhouse and the Rob Zombies are pretty like already solidified in my mind. I have to watch the other legacy films. I'm gonna call them that. Fuck it. If you guys hate that, eat a dick.
But we also, in addition to that, we want to finish out the Living Dread trilogy on Purely and Simply Evil. We did the watch along and the pace episode on George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. We did a watch along for Dawn of the Dead. We have not done a Purely and Simply Evil episode on that, so that's coming very soon as well. We will continue Day of the Dead. Classics Revisited, which is a show we haven't done a whole lot with, which bums me out. I think the last movie we did a watch along for, and let me backtrack here. It was Twister, actually. We did a Twister watch along in the summer, and that was the last time we did a Classics Revisited show. And the goal with that show, where we tried to keep that non-horror specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that that's a non-horror title, just to keep things fresh. And honestly, the other reason being is that we're probably, if it's a horror title, we're probably going to hit it on Purely and Simply Evil at some point. And before we do every Purely and Simply Evil show, we do a watch along for that movie. So it would just be kind of treading the same water, and we don't want to do that. So we
want to do our best to not overlap these.
Yes, exactly.
So that they're all good in their own part.
Yeah, so we're going to do a Classics Revisited watch-along once a month. We may even, if you're not in the Facebook group, go ahead and join that. Look at the jargon on the bottom of the page and go ahead and join. Miguel and myself and our my wife and his girlfriend are moderators on there, and we'll let you in. But we may do something. I was kind of toying around with the idea of maybe letting the audience pick, give out 6 suggestions and then have everybody vote in the Facebook group, and for what Classics Revisited watch along we do each month. I thought that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of play along with that. The big ones, other than not that the Classic Revisited and the horror highlight stuff aren't big, because they are. Something that we have put off for a really long time. I would finally like to begin our deep dive into Friday the 13th this spring. That is a big goal of mine. So hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll wrap up the Living Dead stuff. We will hit, we'll wrap up the Halloween horror highlight stuff, and we will finally move into watching every single Friday the 13th film, as well as a Purely and Simply Evil deep dive on each film of the Friday the 13th franchise, which I'm really, really excited for, because that show started so that I could introduce Miguel to more horror. and you have not seen like 85% of the Friday the 13th franchise. So I'm
85%. Yeah, I guess it's probably true.
Is it? Which ones have you seen? What of Jason's pearly gray wiener have you not seen?
That I've not seen. I can't list them all off. I can only the ones I have seen.
Or which have you seen?
Yeah.
I guess that's the better question. Sorry.
Freddy vs. Jason and Jason X. So probably the fan base's favorite film, and then probably worst favorite film.
I dread getting to Jason X.
Yeah.
I hate that movie. I know that is an unpopular opinion. I loathe Jason X.
Mm-hmm.
Hate it. the last time I tried to watch Jason X, I think I've told this story before. I was home alone. It was me and the dog. Like nobody. I don't even remember what Julia was doing, but like nobody was around. I had the house to myself for like 2 days, and I drank like 5 beers, and I started Jason X, and I woke up at like 3 a.m. on the title screen. I made it like 20 minutes into the movie and fell asleep. I didn't even finish it. That was the last time I tried to watch Jason X. I'm not.
You know what? It was. I knew what I was. I think it was the fact that like I knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
So like, I knew it was gonna be like campy, and it was gonna be like cheap, but like,
I remember.
I don't know.
I remember watching Jason X with my dad for the first time, and he'll even tell you it's the stupidest movie you've ever either of us has ever seen. But like, I remember sitting there watching it, and the both of us going,
No understanding. Yeah,
it's so stupid, man. So Friday the 13th. Hopefully, that's an area that we're gonna start to dive into.
Yeah.
We would like to try and make it to some more convention appearances. I know Horror Hound has got some stuff in Cincinnati that they do twice a year. Scarefest, which, bro, by the way, full stop. Have you seen the Scarefest stuff? The first announcement.
Robert England being there?
They announced Robert England, but I was reading a thread earlier today that one of the staffers for Scarefest had said, and she was like, you know, we have don't worry about the logistic for the Robert England stuff yet, because we have like over like 100+ more guest announcements. And I was like, I mean, it was so for those of you, if you are a Scarefest attendee, if you were there last year in Lexington, Kentucky, it was.
I don't think we really get to talk about Scarefest all that much.
We really didn't. We put the so the vlog is out on the channel, and it was a strange year. It wasn't bad. We still had a great time. You know, and it's run really, really well. Like that convention is wonderful. And we have a great time going every single year. But it was it was almost too much. And I know that's kind of crazy because you want the show to be big, and you want the show to be, you know, full of people and full of guests and full of vendors, and the more the merrier. But I don't know if any of you have ever been to Rupp Arena in Lexington, but they need more space. Like,
it's slowly,
and I don't know.
It's slowly growing. I'll say that.
Oh, I'd say it's steadily growing. I mean, from 2 years ago versus this last year.
I was talking about the venue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the venue itself is like slowly growing, but the event itself is rapidly growing, and I think that's where we're kind of coming to an issue.
You know, there were a lot of issues with like lines being too long. I mean, it was the first time Miguel and I ever actually had to wait in a line. Miguel and I waited about 45 minutes to get into the convention, like just to the convention floor where they like scanned my phone and we could get in. And it's funny because you had like the QR code for each of our tickets, and the dude was like, "You're good." I was like, "Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess we'll go on in then." Like, you know, but
I think that one right there kind of like threw me off. It was the fact that like we waited 45 minutes just for them to be like, "Yeah, you're good."
Well, and I don't know. I know a lot of people, which I'm not big on the the signing stuff. Like I don't need to wait in line for an hour to meet a celebrity. There are very few celebrities that I think I would actually do that for, you know. And it's not that I don't want to meet them. It's not that I wouldn't want to talk to them
And
or
it's
have a
not to say,
conversation with them.
and it's not to say that we're trying to say like people who want to do that.
Oh no,
are like,
not
yeah,
at all.
it's just
If
not our
you-
thing. Like
If
personally,
you do the con thing and you go meet celebs, and if you
like I know that's your
talk to,
thing to
like,
do. Like I
that
know that's
is
people's thing.
that is great, and people get
Mhm.
into it, and people love it, and I love that they love it. Me personally, number one, I ain't got that money to spend on that. Like I just don't. Let's just be honest. Times are tough.
We both have very low income
For real.
careers.
For reals. And I love that other people love it. It's just not my thing.
Mhm.
I'm cool with, like little things. It probably sounds dumb, but like I bumped into Robert Fitzpatrick. Like, or Robert, not Fitzpatrick. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Robert Patrick. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I bumped into Robert Patrick, and he and I kind of like looked at each other and waved or whatever. Like that, like those kinds of like genuine interactions with somebody. We had a buddy that actually met Stan Lee like on accident at a Comic-Con 1 year before he passed. Things like that. Like I'm cool with having genuine interactions with celebrities. I don't want to feel rushed. Like it's a lot of money and it's a lot of patience to feel like I have a line of 200 people behind me that are trying to get into,
Yeah.
And it's not my thing. So I love that other people love it, and I want them to go all in. I think that's great. But with that being said, there were a lot of people trying to do that last year, and there was some complaints about
the logistics behind it.
Yeah, a lot of people that were in a queue. There was something like waiting in a queue to meet a celeb, and like some groups were never called for the queue, so they never got their signing done. Like, and I think the idea is that you don't have to wait in a line of 400 people to go meet Matthew Lillard or to go meet Kane Hodder or, whatever the case may be. But it was just the logistics of it. And here's the thing. So Scarefest, honestly, last year was more scattered around. Like the photo ops were in one section. There was kind of the lobby section with some stuff going on. But in the main convention floor, half of it is Celebrity Row and half of it is the vendors. And the first, what was this? Was this our fourth time at Scarefest? I think it was our fourth. I'm pretty sure it was our fourth.
I don't know. We've gone every single time.
We've gone for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, since the show's been going on.
Yeah. And this was December was 4 years. So yes, this was our fourth Scarefest. And again, for us, it's not that big of a deal. Well, I say that, but also, so for Celebrity Row and for the vendors to all be on the same floor, it was kind of dicey in terms of crowds and people. Like you were always getting pushed to the next thing because there were so many people. Even us trying to film, I love filming that vlog. Like that vlog, I look forward to that every single year. And we were trying to film, we were filming ourselves walking through the convention as we always do. We take you all through a whole tour of everything. Obviously, we can't film in Celebrity Row. I learned that the hard way a couple years ago.
It was year one. So.
But yeah, I think that was the first time we were it was my first con, and I'm just I had my phone and I'm sitting there and we're filming content or whatever. This guy comes over and he's like, "You can't film in here." And grabbed my phone and pulled it down, and I was like, sorry. And we got the hell out of Dodge. But yeah, we couldn't even film content. The aisles between vendors were just mobbed with people. It was crazy. There were just so many people, and the waiting in line to get in, it was just there was a dude in one of the coolest Freddy cosplays I've ever seen in my life. And it was a pretty warm day. It was a high 80s, maybe 87, 88 degrees. It was warm for October. And And he was like, "Bro, I'm dying in this." Like he was in the skin, the gloves, like everything. It was pretty cool. And it was, it was warm. So it was logistically, it was. I don't think it was that the event didn't have their stuff together. I think it was just the sheer number of people that were trying to get into Scarefest. It just overwhelmed the system, basically. I think that's kind of where it was. So hopefully, I don't know. And that's where I love that they have over 100 guests to announce. I love that. That's great. But they really need to put the guests on one floor and the vendors on another floor. They do, so that it's really not, as we have always said, nuts to butts in there. It's just it was nuts. I mean, you couldn't even walk. We couldn't film. I feel like that vlog was not very long. It wasn't as long as some of our others, but the vlog from the year before last was awesome. That was fun. We had a blast. That third year we went, I think was an absolute blast. You and I had a good time that day.
Yeah, it was a good day.
It was really fun.
I think all the years were good. I think all the years were fun. I think
they are.
2024 was just. I don't think we anticipated that many people to show up.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that's a good thing. All I'm saying is, I think next year will be more better planned.
Yeah, if it continues to grow that much, which by the sound of it, it's going to continue to grow that much.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully things will go a little bit better. I hope they use the space more wisely. And I had read something, a vendor chimed in the Scarefest Facebook group and was like, yeah, but if you put the celebrities and the vendors on two different floors, then less people shop at the vendors don't make as much money because people are just sitting there waiting in line for celebrities all day. And I get that too. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know. There are people that do the convention thing far more than we do, which hopefully we're going to change in the new year. I would really like to go to Horror Hound at some point in March. I think March is the first one. Pretty sure. I think March and September. Yeah, March and September, because they do two of them in Cincinnati. I'm sure it's Cincinnati. So yeah, I would like to do more of the con things in the coming year. So speaking of cons, it's when we see Colton Candler each year. What's up, buddy? We were hanging out with Colton at Scarefest, dude. We were just talking about the craziness that was Scarefest this year because we hadn't really gotten a chance to debrief, from Scarefest, and Colton was there. He knows it was crazy, man. People, I remember even the night before Miguel and I went, which we're locals, we live here, so it's not, we're not traveling to get there, so it's not a super big deal for us. But, there were people that drove 5-6 hours to get to this con,
even longer,
and yeah, I mean, people that flew in to get to this con, and I was sending Miguel pictures like, holy shit, dude, like the lines wrapped around Rupp Arena to get into the venue, and people that were like, I missed my photo op opportunity because the line was so long, I physically couldn't even get in the building, and it was just, there was a lot of stuff going on at that con last year. So I hope that they're more prepared for things this year, for that sea of human beings.
I agree. I hope the logistical nightmare that they had this year doesn't deter future people to come, future con goers to go to them.
Well, and anybody that's been there in the past, I mean, Colton can attest to this. Like, Scarefest has been awesome in the past. Like, it's been, I mean, we had, like I said, it was my first convention I had ever been to, and it was, I mean, far and beyond. It was a great experience. We've had a great time all 4 years. But just last year, it was just, it made it hard to do a lot of stuff because we were so, like, trapped in a sea of people for a lot of the time. So hopefully they can figure that out, and hopefully we can get to some more cons and maybe get to meet more of you guys. That's one of the cool things about going to the cons too, is that we get to meet you guys, just walking around, running into people. That's one of the coolest things about about going to the cons, Colton said, I'll definitely be there this year, but I hope it's better than last year. Me too, man. I hope so too, for the sake of everybody's experience, because I think a lot of people kind of had a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth, which is a bummer, because I really do like the con, and I think it's ran very well. And I think the people are, that run it are good people from what I've seen of them, on Facebook and everything. But I agree. I hope it's run a little bit better. Austin, what's up, man? SPC said the boys are back. The boys are back in town. We are. That is correct, my friend. We are. So those are kind of our channel updates. I know we kind of went off on a tangent about the Scarefest thing, but those are our channel updates for 2025 and kind of what we're hoping for. Real quick, I did want to mention this before we get to Nosferatu and before we get to the 28 years later stuff. I do want to take a second and acknowledge the ongoing wildfires happening in California. As many of you know, the Los Angeles County and the whole surrounding area, those fires are burning like largely uncontrollably at pretty alarming rates. I mean, like, we're talking thousands of acres of land. If you go on and look at some of the video, I was watching this one guy on YouTube. He had posted, he hopped on like a motorbike and he was riding through downtown LA, and it was just like, holy crap, man. Like, it's pretty wild. And it's displacing a whole lot of people. So I wanted to share, I'm going to put this in the description of the video, and it's also going to be in the pinned comment, a couple of ways that people can kind of help out, because I know there's a lot of like, what can I do? How can I help? Things like that. Just to try and help those people. Let me see if I can pull that link up real quick. That is the wrong button. I found this. This is not our list. This is just, I happened to see this on CBS. A couple of different things, ways you can contribute. The American Red Cross, obviously just helping the communities in need. The World Central Kitchen, dealing with food. The Fire Department Foundation from LA, food banks. There's one down here, the YMCA, the Medical Corps, the Animal Society. I saw, there's quite a few different videos of animals that are just absolutely like running out of their mind. Like, there's a video of mountain lion and her cubs like running around, deer. Just it's nuts. So I wanted to share that, and I wanted to put this in the description just so that people could contribute if they are able to, because it's pretty sad.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate.
It is, and Hollywood is such an important piece of the movie world, so it's not directly tied into what we're talking about, but it kind of is in a way, so, which I did see. Let me pull this up. So I happen to be Facebook friends with Chris Durand, who played Michael Myers in Halloween H2O, and
of all the people we read the pull up,
I know, and he had posted a little bit ago some positive news amidst the devastation. The evacuation center set up for those fleeing in the Sunset Fire just last night that they have everything they need and more. They have politely turned away any further donations because they have more than enough supplies. It's fabulous to see people coming to the aid of fellow citizens, and all within hours and during the night. The Sunset Fire evacuation order has officially been lifted, and this particular group of evacuees is lucky and to have homes to return to. Let's keep it going for those who do not. It's going to be a long haul. So that is a little bit of good news out of the fire situation. So,
and that was where?
That is in, I believe that was in LA.
Okay.
In LA. Yeah, and it is. I know there's been a few people in Facebook groups asking, "Is the Myers house okay? Is the Elm Street house okay? Is the neighborhood okay?" From what I can tell, yes. The Eaton fire, I think it is. I'd have to go back and look at it. The Eaton fire is affecting Pasadena, but I think it's still like 50 miles away or something like that from where they filmed all the Halloween stuff and from the spot where the Myers house currently sits. So,
Well, that's not to say that, like, I hope it doesn't hit them, but, like,
Right. It's trivial, but
Yeah.
it's trivial and it's not, because there are still people that live in those homes. Like those are still people's homes, and you don't. Yeah. I hate that it's happening anywhere. 100%. But it's still it matters to the community, and I wanted to share those couple of resources. I did see. I think it did affect the school. So many things have been filmed in Pasadena. It was a school that I believe they filmed some of Teen Wolf and Carrie in. What'd you say?
I don't give a fuck about Teen Wolf. I don't watch that shit.
Well, okay, I mean the original Teen Wolf, like.
Oh.
Yeah, the Michael J. Fox film, but I think it affected a school or something like that in that area. So, it's a bummer. But like I said, I'm gonna share that link in the description of the video and in the pinned comment section. So even if you can't contribute, share that CBS link, because it's got a bunch of affiliate links. And I went through and clicked, like, if you click on the American Red Cross thing, it's like, here's how you contribute. Like it doesn't give you the runaround of what you need to do. It's pretty straightforward as to how you can help. So I'm gonna share that link on all of my personal social media and on the show's social media as well. Oh, speaking of social media, we're no longer on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it anymore. That was the biggest negative cesspool I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
I was so sick of doom scrolling Twitter. I was like, I'm done. I'm leaving. So I texted Miguel one day and I was like, show's not on Twitter anymore. Sorry. But honestly, we didn't get that much engagement on Twitter anyways. Like, we have far more engagement on other... At this point, the best social media platform, like if you're trying to get a hold of us, is Facebook. Like, shoot me a message on Facebook or on Instagram. Those are our two main platforms. So, and Miguel runs our TikTok. How's that TikTok coming, Miguel?
Well, until he gets fucking banned, I guess. I don't know. What are you gonna do?
Oh man. Colton said, "Are you guys going to check out Daredevil Born Again?" Absolutely, we are, bro. I am thrilled about that show. I'll tell you. I was thinking about this today. I saw a video of Endgame, and it was the Professor Hulk thing. Dude, I'm really hoping the MCU turns it back on soon. I really am. And I think Deadpool and Wolverine was like a great step in the right direction. Like, I need more of that.
But I don't think it necessarily, like, I don't think that like saved the MCU. I think it was just like a nice, like,
no, it didn't save it, but like I said, it was a step in the, like, okay, don't go towards Thor: Love and Thunder and Ant-Man Quantumania. Mm-hmm. Push more towards that stuff. Like, that's what I need more of. But I just, like, so to answer your question, yes, I am hype about Daredevil Born Again. I'm really, really excited to see what they do with that series.
I'm excited too. I was happy to hear with, like, the direction they were going shifted.
Yeah.
From
that show's
revamping and like not including these core characters that was in the original Daredevil. So knowing that they revamped it a little bit, and, like, they're including people that were like in the previous, and like there's just a continuation of what happened through the Netflix series. Like, I'm excited for that. Like, very much so. I just personally still have some, like, reservations of, like, I hope they can figure that shit out. Yeah. Because I think the New York level of, like, MCU is going to be fine, because I mean, if you think about it, all the Spider-Man films have been fine. Hawkeye TV show was really good.
Hawkeye was really good, but dude, I'm gonna be real. The Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy, apart from No Way Home, that was fantastic. Homecoming and Far From Home just didn't do it for me. They just didn't. Mm-hmm. They didn't feel like Spider-Man movies. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I get that they were trying to do something different, but they felt so lackluster in a way. And it wasn't the acting, it was like the story and the way it was presented. Like, I don't need to see Spider-Man in Washington D.C. Like, I don't care about that. Like, show me Spider-Man on the Empire State Building. And like, even in No Way Home, we really didn't have a whole lot of like web swinging. I mean, how many scenes did we get of Spider-Man swinging through New York City in that entire trilogy? I can think of 2. The end of Far From Home and the end of No Way Home. That's literally the only 2 scenes of like web swinging Spider-Man that I can think of from those 3 films. And that's a shame.
Obviously, you can see Brad very emotional, very, very passionate about it, to say the least.
I didn't dislike them. I just it wasn't. It's not what I want out of a Spider-Man movie.
Well, I mean, there's plenty more films to come from.
There are,
obviously, because I don't think Tom Holland's leaving anytime soon. So
he is definitely not. You know, and you got the RDJ thing, and you have the rumors of, well, we know Chris Evans is coming back. There's the rumor of Scarlett Johansson. Like, I don't know. They're taking a lot of really big gambles in a time where it's like they don't have the like it's already on a rocky foundation to begin with post Endgame. So I'm like, oh, okay, like, you know, you have really great series. I really enjoyed Moon Knight. I really enjoyed Hawkeye. She-Hulk sucked balls. Like, it just, you know, dude, when Bruce Banner's son came out at the end and he's all like tatted with the mohawk or whatever, I was like, I'm turning the TV off and going to bed. This is stupid. Because I am a big Hulk fan. I love the Hulk. The Hulk was my absolute favorite as a kid. And the way they have just nerfed the Hulk in the MCU is it should be like a war crime or something. Like, it is just I'm blown. The Professor Hulk thing was fun. It was cool for what we had. But it was just like they made a joke out of him in She-Hulk. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like they just made these characters satirical. And like, I don't know. I miss me some Savage Hulk, man. I do. I really, 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 really do. Bothers me.
Well, hopefully we'll get them soon.
If we don't get, and I know there's the rumors of World War Hulk. You know, there have been rumors about World War Hulk circulating for about a year now. So hopefully we get some, you know, we get some Savage Hulk back. But if they stick with the Professor Hulk thing forever, it's such a waste of a character. And I really like Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner too. Like, it's, you know, the stuff in the first 2 Avengers films, great, spectacular. I need more of it though. It's like that. There's a reel or a TikTok or whatever of that Italian guy, and his wife hands him food, and he's like, "Spectacular! Give me 14 of them right now." Like, that's what I need. Like the Hulk when he goes like buku crazy when Wanda does her little mind control magic thing in Age of Ultron. That Hulk, give me 14 of them right now. I need it. I need that. Like, injected into my veins. I need that kind of Hulk.
I think it's because we haven't seen it in the MCU as much. We've seen plenty of him. You know, with the Hulk and the Incredible Hulk and
that was great.
Hulk.
But give me 14 of them right now. Like, I need that. I need that deeply. Need it. Colton said, now that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is back to street-level crime from the reset of No Way Home, how crazy would it be for him to team up with Daredevil to take down Kingpin? I don't think it's that crazy at all. I think, especially with Bernthal coming back as the Punisher, which, amazing. I think with him coming back as Punisher, I think that I could definitely see it. Like, honestly, it wouldn't even surprise me if he had a cameo appearance or a couple of cameo appearances in. I think we
need a Spider-Man movie first before we get a cameo.
Or Daredevil cameos in the next Spider-Man movie.
Yeah,
that might be more.
Either one
more likely.
Yeah,
that may be more likely. So, I don't know. And there's rumors though that Toby, which this happened a while ago, even before Deadpool and Wolverine was announced. but there was a, I remember it was about, it was around the She-Hulk time. There was a huge rumor that Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire signed buku contracts with Marvel Studios to come back, like post No Way Home.
Really?
And yes, and I guarantee you they'll be back for Secret Wars, like 100%. Whether or not we see them, I kind of hope they don't use them in the next Spider-Man movie. I think we need a real, and I hate to say the word real, but I'm going to say it. We need a real Spider-Man movie from Tom Holland. Like, Colton, exactly like you said, give me street level crime. Give me, now I'm not saying, when I say street level, I'm not saying like an entire movie of Spider-Man stopping muggings. Like that's not what I mean. Like we need something a little more than that. But I think I think we need more of a standard Spider-Man movie, swinging through buildings. We've already used Shocker. I don't know. Throw an MCU Doc Ock in there. Throw one of the good standard Spider-Man villains in there, and
I kind of want something different, honestly. So there's plenty of common characters to push in.
Give us Venom.
Nah, not yet.
Give us an MCU Venom.
Not yet. We still got plenty. Give me Craven. Fuck it. Give me Craven.
God, no. Give Craven a rest. We need to forget
Give him a rest. He's had one fucking shot, and it sucked. It's not. You know how to give him a rest. Give him another shot. Whatever.
How Sony thought that they could continue that is beyond me. I don't understand. And then when I it's funny because a few weeks ago when they announced like the Sony Spider-Man universe without a Spider-Man, dumbasses, like when they were like, hey, this is the Sony Spider-Man universe is going to be no more. I was like, you could have done this 2 years ago and saved us all the trouble of having to watch Madam Web, which I didn't even see it. But like you could have saved yourselves the millions of dollars of making Madam Web and the frickin' Craven movie, You could have saved yourselves all of that trouble. And instead, you decided to sink millions of dollars into hot, steaming piles of garbage. And again,
some people liked it.
That is not against any of the actors. Like, I almost feel bad for the actors. What's her name? The 50 Shades lady that played Madam Web.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'm kidding.
No.
Dakota Johnson.
Dakota Johnson. That's what it is. Dakota Johnson. I don't know. It's almost like I watched an interview with her when Madam Web came out, and it was almost like she knows it's a bad movie. Like you can tell that she knows it's a bad movie.
You can tell when an actor doesn't
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, whatever, but yeah. So I am hopeful for the MCU, and I'm definitely hopeful for Daredevil Born Again. I think the fact that they scrapped the original idea and they've kind of basically rehauled that series, I'm like, okay, all right, bring it on. Let's go. Give it to me.
Let's see what else you got.
So yeah. Also, I didn't like that Karen and Foggy weren't going to be in it. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that they were gonna like. That's what I'm saying. They were gonna like wholly reboot the fucking.
I know.
TV show, and I was like,
and it was like this. It's a sequel, but it's not. And they were just going to like write Karen and Foggy out of the story, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. They were the other two main characters. Like,
I was like,
how do you just omit characters from? You know what I mean? It didn't make any sense at all. So, so I am hopeful for what's to come. Do you, Miguel? Do you want to talk Nosferatu next, and then we'll finish out with the 28 years later stuffs?
Might as well. Yeah, go for it.
So Robert Eggers Nosferatu. I have decided I really like this movie. I really have, and it was a little bit of a. It's an uncomfortable watch. Let me say that, and that may be, as I like to start out our reviews with my biggest compliment to the film. I think my biggest compliment to Nosferatu is it is an uncomfortable watch. Like when this movie aims to make its audience feel really, really uncomfortable, it does a really damn good job of making its audience feel really, really uncomfortable. And it was very, very well done. The cinematography was exquisite. I could 1000% see it taking an Oscar for cinematography or editing or something like that.
I would agree. Yeah, Nosferatu is definitely
really
cinematically very well done, very well put together. Almost every single scene can be used as a still. I'll say that.
Oh, 100%. Aaron said Nosferatu is a 4.5. Wow, I can't speak. 4.5 out of 5 for me. I really liked it. Yeah, me too, man. This was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and I have said for a really long time. I want to say I did a video about this like the second year we had the channel. Like, it's been a few years, and I would probably have to scroll back through the 500 videos we have on the channel and look it up. But I did a video a while ago, and I was like, I really think you could take. I'll tell you when it was. It was after I saw the Invisible Man remake, which I actually really, really enjoyed. I thought it was very well done. I was like, you can take the Universal Monster stuff and you can redo that. Like, there is a way to make super gothic, down to earth monster movies in the way that they did with the Universal Monster stuff. I've said for years, you can do a legit Frankenstein, a legit Dracula, a legit Wolfman. It was just I've always thought that, and Nosferatu really, really proved that. I think that notion of bringing back gothic horror. I think Robert Eggers was the perfect guy for the job. He is definitely a rising star in the horror world, and I'm super stoked to see what he does next after this. If he wanted to helm the unit, which he's not, because they're doing. I think is it Guillermo del Toro who's doing the Frankenstein film?
Oh, I don't know, but that does sound pretty good, honestly. I mean, yeah, I know Robert Eggers would be, the most logical choice right now. But
yes,
if I were to give it to any other director, I would say Frankenstein's definitely in good hands with Frankenstein, just because Guillermo del Toro is very poignant on prosthetics and
he is
usual special effects. So like, I would be very excited to see the Frankenstein design that will be coming out.
Yeah. So it is. So Frankenstein, which let me back up. Frankenstein is coming out this year. There's no trailer or anything. It is directed by Guillermo del Toro. Oscar Isaac is playing Victor Frankenstein, playing the monster, playing the doctor, and Jacob Elordi is playing the monster.
I kind of don't like that.
It's interesting. That is an interesting casting.
The dude from fucking Music Booth or Kissing Booth?
Yes. And from what's the show with Zendaya? Euphoria, yeah, which is a great show. I need season 3 of that. Julie and I watched that, and we both loved it. And I was like, and it ends on kind of a cliffhanger thing. So I was like, where's the next season of it? But who knows? But yeah, Jacob Elordi is playing Frankenstein. There was a still that dropped of that. Let me see if I can find it.
Initial release is 2025. Are we sure it's still tasked for?
There was an image. Yeah, Vanity Fair dropped a picture of it. Let me see if I can.
Oh, this is Netflix. I don't like that.
Yeah, it is coming out on Netflix, which is a little weird. I'm not really a fan of that either. I need this to go away. Why is this being weird? Hello, where'd you go? Sorry, guys, I'm trying to get this picture to load. Well, it's not working. Here, let me do it this way. Let me.
Yeah, these behind the set photos I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, this was the Vanity Fair image. This was the first image of Frankenstein. It looks like a nasty gore fest. I mean, like, look, I don't know if you can tell, but there's like, wait, this is not what I want. No, hang on.
It's a bunch of dead bodies.
Hold the phone. Hold the phone. There it is. Yeah, those are. I don't know if you can tell. Those are straight up like dead bodies laying on the floor in front of the doctor, and he's got Frankenstein like strapped to the table behind him. But I mean, and this looks like the cinematography is going to be exquisite too. So I'm sure this will be in the same boat. And if this goes well, again, that's why I'm saying Nosferatu and possibly Frankenstein prove that you can do, legit. You can do legit incarnations of, of the Universal monster stuff, and I'm really, really, really hoping that I'm hoping that people catch on to that. And if they wanted to give it to Robert Eggers, great. I mean, he's won my vote with Nosferatu. I'll say this: I think Nosferatu is the best vampire film I've seen in a really, really long time. I think so. Poison.
Maybe.
Poison.
Yeah, I think what's it called? Modern, I guess, is what you would say. Like within 2020, I would say within this decade.
That's fair.
I'd agree.
Well, so here's the thing. First of all, the cast was exquisite. I think Lily Rose Depp and Bill Skarsgård specifically really, really stunned with this. I think Bill Skarsgård, he was a great choice for Nosferatu. I was really thrown off.
No, we are neighbors.
With I was really thrown off with the look at first. When we first started getting a glimpse, like when that came out, I was like, okay, he has hair. Like, that's, it's strange. It looked weird. And I know that there was something really specific that, to the time period, to the area that Robert Eggers was going for. He had said in, I believe in an interview or something, he was like, go back to that time period and find me someone that didn't have that mustache and that hairstyle and that clothing and that accent. Like, it was very specific to that, Transylvania, like that era. And I appreciate that attention to detail. So I think, I justified the look in that way, and I came to like it. The accent was really well done, and I must say I did not expect him to talk as much as he did in this movie. Did you?
I did, yeah. I mean,
I really
the film that they were basing off of was a silent film, and I know you have the 92 attempt at it. I never have seen that one, so I don't know if Count Orlok spoke in that one.
I've actually never seen the original, which the original is a silent film.
Yeah.
So there is no speaking.
So there's no like that avenue, I guess, in regards to how you tell the story. Like, it's really up for interpretation, honestly, since there's no spoken words in it. It's just a silent film. So the Egger had he had the opportunity to go his own separate way with that. Yeah. But I think when it came to the accent, I mean, it could have been like, it could have been a fucking standard English guy from fucking West Ham, and it'd been like, okay, yeah, sure. Like,
if I wouldn't have previously known that was Bill Skarsgård, I would have had no idea that was him under those prosthetics and that makeup, which is how it should be. Yeah. That's how you know that he is giving an amazing performance, is when it is completely transformed from any iteration of that person that you know. So he was fantastic. Lily Rose Depp, as Aaron just said, my gosh, Lily Rose looks exactly like, or looks just like her father. It's a female Johnny Depp. I mean,
After seeing this film, I don't know if I want to think about that. I'm being
I know that's
completely
common.
honest.
I know that's common to look like your parents, but wow. In terms of the acting chops, I would agree with you. I think
I would agree. She could do. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it wasn't even, where she shined for me was in the seizure moments, in the moments where she is scared or showing a lot of emotion. She just it was captivating. Like, and it's another example of how this movie, it's uncomfortable and it's disturbing, and it's like you don't feel comfy cozy watching it, but you also can't look away. And that's where that's why I say my biggest compliment to the movie is that it's an uncomfortable movie. When it wants you to feel uncomfortable, it does a really, really successful job of you feeling uncomfortable. And there were moments in this movie from the minute it started when you hear Lily Rose Depp going, I was like,
yeah,
what? Like, what's happening right now? Like, there were some pretty uncomfortable moments in Nosferatu, and rightfully so. I mean, it's a a dead vampire that's lusting over this woman, but he's lusting over her to kill her. Like, it's just it's an interesting concept, and it's something that could have very easily gone south with the wrong actors. And even the chemistry there's kind of a moment where before the 3 days ultimatum that Nosferatu gives Lily Rose's character, there's kind of a confrontation between the two of them, and she's standing up to him and he's talking to her and whatever, and I think he hits her or something like that. Like, their chemistry was really, really good. Even when she, spoiler alert, when she submits to him at the end and they have their weird sex murder thing when they both strip completely naked.
Spoiler
and he weird. There is chemistry there, and it's not a romantic chemistry. It's these two beings that are connected in a way that no one else can quite comprehend. You know what I mean? And the two of them really, really, really pulled that off, in a very special way. That the two of them could have potentially derailed the entire movie, and they were arguably the strongest part of the movie. I mean, I really have to commend both of them on their performances. It was really, really well done.
No, I'd agree. And to say, if I were to make a statement about the cast in general, yes, automatically I knew that we were going to this film with a pretty stacked cast. But again, that's not to say that the film could easily have had no chemistry, and then the actors could have easily not been able to produce something meaningful. But I think that even if I didn't know Johnny Depp, I thought Lily Rose did a phenomenal job on her portrayal of Ellen Hutter. Her consistent sense of dread and worry, and her continual struggle with her epileptic seizures and her continual nightmares that she would have, and the perpetual haunting from Count Orlok. It's like you could feel the consistent edge that she has throughout the fucking 2 hours of this film, and it pretty much put us on a ride of unease for the duration of the film. So
God, I do
praise Lily Rose for how she was able to perform Ellen Hunter's character in this film, given the fact that she her character is strictly just to be a piece of meat victim from like, you know, the old Nosferatu. So like to give her like some real character
Oh
behind
yeah,
behind the screen. It's very, very well put together. And that's not to say that like any of the other people did either. Like Nicholas Hoult did phenomenal as well,
he
and
did.
you
I'm
know,
gonna get there in a
and
minute.
we yeah, and we know Willem Dafoe does Willem Dafoe stuff, but I would say the person that really stand out for me, I would say was I know where I'm like we're writing his dick right now, but like I thoroughly liked Aaron Taylor Johnson's
Hey,
acting in this film too. So like
I did
you
too.
know.
I did too. There's a sense of there is a sense of dread that slowly washes over this cast of characters. You know, it's very much it kind of it's the same idea as the again. There's a lot of symbolism here, but the plague thing when Nosferatu arrives, and he's kind of symbolized by the plague, the rats, the disease, the virus, or the bacteria, whatever the plague was. I guess it was a bacteria. You know, when it's dread is kind of its own plague amongst the characters because you've got Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, you know, you have got Emma Corrin's character. They're married. You've got Nicholas Hoult, who's just trying to do a good thing, and you know, for his wife, you know, and you've got these other characters, even Willem Dafoe's character, that this sense of dread from the coming of Count Orlok kind of just slowly oozes out from Lily Rose Depp's character, and washes over all of the other characters throughout this film, and that in and of itself is a really spectacular, you know, part of this story, and I think the characters really embodied that well. I mean, the you know, Aaron Taylor Johnson, I really I feel bad for him, and I feel bad for Nicholas Hoult. Almost more so than Lily Rose Depp, which is weird because she's the one who dies and sacrifices herself. But it's like the two of them lost everything. You know what I mean?
Oh
It
no,
was
yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly because of the entire like duration of the film. Like uh Taylor Johnson's character and his family throughout the film is just strictly a bystander victim that
right.
just gets absolutely torn uh by the entire story. So like yeah, they just played it well of like
Right.
a family who is just living life you know through Germany during this time period and living it well and just is simply derailed
Yeah.
by Count Orlok and the evil that he brought upon where is this located at? I mean, is it Germany? Is it just Germany?
I thought it was London.
I thought it
Uh,
was Germany, if I'm not mistaken.
uh,
I may be wrong,
uh,
but you know.
I thought it was London. I don't know. Either way, it or England, not London, but I thought it was somewhere in England. Um, yeah, Germany. You're right, Aaron. It is Germany. Um, but yeah, I the dread thing. I think those two characters specifically, the fact that they lose everything. I mean, you know, you have some. Lily Rose Depp's character is really the one that's flawed. Thomas Holt's character is he's just a good dude. Like the entire movie, he's not a bad guy. He doesn't really have very many flaws. And
Mhm.
it just I just feel awful for him
Well,
because he loses everything. Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, he has this beautiful family and this great life that he has built for himself. We see that at the beginning of the movie when the two of them they're just friends sitting there smoking cigars together and they're having a good time and their families are playing whatever.
mhm.
And you know, Nicholas Hoult, when he goes to travel to Transylvania, you know, it just I feel bad for him and what he lost. I mean, he went through not only the plague stuff, but he absolutely went through the ringer before he died. And
Mhm.
Nicholas Hoult now has the guilt of like, I brought this on everyone. You know what I mean? So, and he has to live with that after, you know, the Willem Dafoe thing, after watching Aaron Taylor Johnson and his entire family die, and then ultimately he loses his wife in trying to take out this creature. It's just it's really, really sad. And this movie, that's the thing, is this movie, it's an uncomfortable watch, and it ends up being very much a tragedy. It's not a there's not a happy ending to this movie. It is 100% a tragedy.
Yeah, no, it is 100% a tragedy. There's no like ifs, ands, and buts. Like, this movie is a straight up tragedy in regards to how this film was depicted and how it like initially came out, you know, in the 20s. So like from the start, we like, you pretty much know. And it was funny because like we didn't really know that at the time. Like I spent like the majority of the film thinking that it was a different time period, but
the 30s or something like that.
Yeah, like I was under the assumption that like what happened in the beginning of the film was present day, and then everything that happened before was the past. So like I guess I misread the time lapse that they gave us, but like I thought it was like the past of what happened to Lily Rose in the beginning of the film, but clearly it was the beginning was the beginning, and then it talked about a few years later kind of thing. Yeah. So I was just really thrown off by that. But this film in and of itself, like 100% a tragedy, because you have all of these characters in this film that if it's easier for me to say, don't necessarily have any skeletons in their closet. Even
other than Lily Rose,
I would even say
really don't.
I would even say Ellen Hutter didn't really have any like skeletons in her closet. She was just simply asking for help, and unfortunately she was a victim of someone listening that wasn't supposed to be listening.
That's fair.
So
that is fair.
Yeah, none of these people were necessarily like evil or had any type of wrongdoing in their soul.
Yeah.
It was just the fact that like they were a victim to Count Orlok, who is the straight embodiment of evil and dread
death,
and horror and death. Yeah, like he is death, because the man brought the plague to Germany. So like it's just a 100% tragedy. And knowing the fact that like if it wasn't like if Ellen wasn't even a part of this, like it was just the fact that like, you know, this entire town is just like cursed by Count Orlok. Yeah. Based on a real estate deal. Well, which is probably the funniest thing about it.
One of my favorite shots of the movie is the fact is when he arrives in their town, and we see his hand, the shadow of his hand moving over top. Again, the symbolism of that, the way that this film used, and the cinematography is a whole other conversation. The way that this movie used shadow and light as a storytelling technique should be studied. Like seeing the shadow of his weird veiny ass hand like going over the town, seeing the him in the shadow when she's walking up to it, and there's already kind of this telepathic thing, when he takes control of her and she's having her seizures, they're connected in this weird way.
Just straight up
when she walks up to the window
Skype,
and we see his shadow in the curtain that's blowing, things like that. Like the cinematography in this movie, like I said, the use of the shadows and the light, the way that things look, the moment when when Thomas Holt's character is making his way to Transylvania, and the horse carriage kind of finds him in the snow. I mean, gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. The way that the castle looked in the snow, beautiful. The costume design, the way that this movie looked, I'm not kidding you. I will not be surprised if it wins an Academy Award for it.
Yeah.
That's how good it was.
I mean,
It
there's
was,
there's a lot about this film that could easily be nominated for an
if the
Oscar.
movie itself was like a solid 9.5 out of 10, the
Mhm.
cinematography was like a 12 out of 10. Like it was really really spectacular. It's some of the best camera work I think I've seen in a movie in a really really long time.
Mhm.
And it didn't look cheap, it didn't feel cheap. It felt very raw and very real in the moment. It was, I will say, it was a little more brutal than I expected it to be. I expected some good kills. I didn't expect, again, spoiler alert, to see Nosferatu killing 2 children and then throwing their dead bodies to the side. Like, I, he was.
Let's just say that like
There were a few
vampires are
points.
very, very they're killers.
They are, and it was.
But nothing. But Count Orlok is he's just a savage.
I expected it to be more of a. What's the word? Laid back in terms of the violence, and there were a few times it really leaned into the violent angle, and that surprised me a little bit. That was an area I was like, okay, I didn't expect this to be as gory and violent as it was, but it really was, and that's kind of where it goes to show you, like, the difference between him killing other random people, the people on the ship when they were bringing the plague, unknowingly bringing the plague, when the people that were that he killed in the town, the 2 children when he throws them off to the side. It's such a contrast to when he finally is able to take Lily Rose Depp and bite her at the end of the film. Like, that was almost like again, it's weird. He's killing her, but it was almost this loving, like, gentle. I don't know. It's so strange, and it's such it's weirdly sexual, if that makes sense. The whole film has kind of a sexual subtext to it.
Well, we knew that like going in. Like
we did know that going in.
The two of us strictly knew that we were going to see.
It's part of what makes it uncomfortable. We did, which apparently I told Miguel
we were going to see that
was 100% prosthetics. That was not actually Bill Skarsgård's cockola in the
Count Cock, but we 100% knew what we were going to step into, to the point where like the second it popped up, like me and him looked at each other and we're like, dick. Like there was no again. Like I wasn't like, it was one of those things where like I kind of thought to myself, I was thinking, was that really necessary? And to say that like a lot of the more sexual stuff that happened throughout the film, like I didn't really feel as if a lot of it was necessary, but at the same time, like, who's to say?
Aaron said, "Count Orcock."
Count Orcock, yeah, like, yeah. It's not to say that like I was not a fan of it, but like I'm just saying, like in regards to like the story itself, there was plenty other of like context that could have been like delved out, other than just like the. I would say there's at least like 15-20 minutes of like very like intimate moments between Count Orlok and
and the thing is, it's not, when you say, oh, it's a very sexual movie, people tend to think, oh, there's a lot of sex scenes. I wouldn't say there's a single sex scene in the movie. It's not there in the traditional sense. It's just when she's having seizures, when she's interacting with Nosferatu, when, at the end when he ultimately kills her. It's just there's this weird, like, it's part of what makes it uncomfortable.
I wouldn't say sexual. It would be like sensual is the more like term you would use.
But yeah, I don't know. Dude, the one that got me when she was having the seizure, and Thomas, but when Thomas was her husband was there, and she was like, she said something like, "Take me, I want him to see," and he just started like boning her, like while she was having the thing, and like she wanted Nosferatu to see it. I was like,
I think that was like day 2.
Sitting in the theater eating my popcorn. I'm like,
so it's not the fact. I'm not saying
very uncomfortable.
I'm not saying that like what Robert Eggers did was like uncalled for or like wrong or any of that
No, because I think
nature.
that was even in the original film. I think even the original 1920 something, again, not
Mm-hmm.
maybe not to the extent that this was, but I think that was it's a crucial part of this story. So like 100% continue.
Mm-hmm. But I was gonna say that like personally there's just plenty of more that I kind of wanted more context and like that I wanted fleshed out, but instead we got like a lot more like 15 minutes of just like that, which cool I guess, but like if people were like really into that, but I don't know, there were just a lot of things within the film that I feel like I wanted more fleshed out, like
What did
honestly
you
like the
want fleshed out more?
connection between Count Orlok and Ellen, like I don't really think that was really explained further or
Like, what
any.
is it? You mean?
Yeah, like what is it? Like
Yeah.
was it the fact that like she just prayed and Count Orlok heard? Like and also the
Mm,
what's it called? What the conversation that Ellen and Willem Dafoe's character had. Like it was some pretty heavy like conversations, some heavy trauma stuff.
yeah.
Like, Helen being found naked as a child in a field after her mom's death. But if it just that portion felt like an unfinished narrative that
That's fair.
I thought
I can see
needed
that.
more revelation. Instead, it was just a that was the exposition that you got for the sake of like
Right.
the connection. But like I wanted to know how, where did it all like occur to? And I was hoping Willem's character was going to bring that in. So if you want to talk about Willem's character about it now, like we can, but like
Yeah.
I
Well,
just thought that we were going to
I
get more.
I can see what you're saying, and I think Willem Dafoe's character specifically, he gave us more insight into what Nosferatu is,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily into the relationship between Lily Rose Depp's character
Mm-hmm.
and Count Orlok. You know what I mean? I think it was more about Count. As he says, like I don't remember exactly some of the lines again. I've only seen the film one time, but at some point he says something like, I've seen things that would make, they're talking about the fact that like this shouldn't be like scientifically possible, and
Mm-hmm.
he says something like, I I what did he say? You quoted it to me at one point. He says, I've seen things that would make Isaac Newton crawl back into his mother's womb or something like that. Like, like basically making the point of like things aren't all scientifically proven. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he
Mm-hmm.
can be a 300-year-old vampire, and that, like, okay, that can be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he explains about the he has a lot of insight about the plague thing. He has a lot of insight about how to stop Nosferatu. Obviously, he's the one who ultimately tricks Nicholas Holt's character into letting Lily Rose Depp be the sacrifice. To
Yeah.
finally kill
But do you
Count
see how
Orlok.
like like Count Orlok supposedly made that decision a long time ago, before Nicholas Holt's character and
Right,
Lily
right.
Rose like got married,
Yeah,
because like that was something she fleshed out to Willem Dafoe as well. So like it just the relationship between Ellen and Count Orlok seemed way too ambiguous,
that's fair.
and
That's
it
fair.
just I just wanted that more. I just wanted that more fleshed out, because that part of the story seemed much more interesting than
Yeah,
the prophecy that Willem says, saying
I get it.
we need to fuck this rotting vampire to save us.
I get it.
You know.
Well, and Aaron Click brings up a good. Aaron brings up a good point. He said there's a longer version I think will be released on the physical release, which I have heard that. I can see it
Mm-hmm.
answering some of that. Maybe that is in the extended cut, and maybe they had to cut some of those things, just those bits of exposition for the sake of
Mm-hmm.
having enough time and to not make the thing drag on and on and on, because it was a pretty long movie. I think it was like 2 hours and 16 minutes or something like that. Like
Yeah,
it was a pretty long film.
it's and luckily it gripped me for the duration of the film, but
It did.
there were
it
definitely
it,
moments.
it gripped you.
Yeah,
Did
there were definitely
Warlock grip
moments
you?
of the film. I'll say this. Here's my 2 cents on the film. Okay, if I feel like I can step out and take a piss, I'm not really all that interested. I didn't feel all that drawn into the story, if that makes sense. Like I felt like there was a dead zone in the film where I was like,
I definitely
I could
didn't
take a
feel
piss
like
and
I didn't feel like
not
that in
miss
this
anything.
movie.
Really?
No.
Mm.
I felt pretty like I need this movie kept you. I feel like we were kept in the dark enough about the prophecy stuff and about Nosferatu himself that I was like, I don't want to miss anything that's happening, because I feel like if
you're gonna
miss
miss
that
something.
one sentence, then it's gonna throw off and you're not gonna understand what was happening. Like if you would have stepped out during the moment where he's talking about the prophecy and her sacrificing herself to kill him, you would have had that would have made no sense. When she sacrificed herself at the end, that would have made no sense. You're like, why did she just like give herself to him? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
You know. I will say maybe, and this is kind of where I'll this is the last thing I'll touch on. One area that I didn't particularly like, I actually felt like it maybe pulled away from the main plot of the movie, was Simon McBurney, which was the character who played, pretended to be the boss at the beginning, who sends him to Transylvania to sign away his wife, whatever. And this kind of weird sub-story we had going where he's biting the doves and he kills the kills the guard. I understand what he was. I know that he was kind of his servant, follower, cult member type. That, like, I get it. It just,
what name am I thinking of?
It
with that,
kind
honestly?
of. I found myself at some point in the movie like, why do we keep coming back to this? Like, if you would have explained, okay, he was the one, he's a follower of Count Orlok, he is the one that tricked Nicholas Holt's character into going to Transylvania, to the castle, to meet with him in the first place. Okay, boom, you kill that character off, we're done. But I just felt like, why are we wasting screen time coming back to this character that ultimately I felt like didn't really add anything past that, like past his role of getting Nicholas Holt to arrive in Transylvania. I felt like we kept cutting back to this character, and I don't think he really added anything else throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah, he was very much like I don't remember what his name was, but like I think he was very much the Reinfeld to Count Orlok's Dracula.
Knock, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Like more or less like the person that helps Count Orlok with his with his pursuit of, like, you know, blood, which is funny because Nicholas Holt plays Reinfeld, and that Reinfeld movie where like Nicolas Cage is Dracula, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that, you got to watch it.
That is pretty funny. Good. I haven't seen that, but that is kind of funny you said that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so he is definitely primarily the sole helper of Count Orlok, but I felt like that story as well felt like a side thing that didn't really like have much attribute, you know, things that attributed to the story, because like his sole purpose was just to trap Nicholas Holt's character and then die at the end, because Count Orlok felt like he like failed him at some point. But like, it's interesting to think about like what was the plan for, like, you know, this guy to be with Count Orlok, and how he like now that Count Orlok is here, he was pretty much like, oh, you're fucking nothing. You're gonna be there to die now.
But my thing is, like, we kept seeing him in the prison, and we kept seeing him like roaming around, and I was just like, okay, show him at the beginning of the film when he tricks when he tricks Thomas to go to Transylvania. Cool. If you want to show him again, and kind of this, you know, maybe he's caught and he's executed, you see him bite the dove or something, he attacks a guard, the guard kills him off, or someone kills him, boom, we're done. There were a few times I was like, why are we cutting back to this character? I didn't feel like he added anything to the plot. And yes, there was the scene with him and Count Orlok together once they arrived in their town in Germany, once the plague was there and things, and like Orlok kind of smacks him or whatever. But like, I didn't think he really added anything. You know, that was the one thing about the film that I was just kind of like, okay. Like, you know, that and the whole little village that he arrives in at the beginning, that could have been cut out because that was kind of like,
okay. Well, no, I guess that, see, it's more like I hope the film, the physical release of the film gives us a better understanding.
That's
because
fair.
Like these things that we are griping about right now, again, trivial and minuscule at best to like what the film we saw. Because I mean, the both of us can agree that this film was pretty spectacular. But I think it's the fact that it wanting more, and the things that they cut out, I think, would have enhanced our experience. I think that's something that we're like really missing out right now. Because again, the village itself was a really good story for us to like really know about Count Orlok, like,
and that's fair.
Purpose, his
you're right.
His backstory and how he haunted these people and like what it did to them and what it was going to do to Germany. But we didn't really get that as much, or how they were able to survive with Count Orlok being in his castle, kind of thing.
Right.
And also with so like I felt like, and I agree with you, like the whole story like in the village didn't really make any sense because Nicholas Hoult didn't really get any real information from his time there, other than the fact that he just survived Count Orlok, or like they were surprised, like, we're surprised that you even like survived, or maybe he let his grip of you or something like that. So I was just like, okay, but like what, like, is there something that like he learned through his troubles to like help the story whenever he gets back to Germany, back with Lily Rose? Like, I felt like those things could have been fleshed out more, because the sense of exposition and more insight to the movie primarily came from Willem Dafoe, if I'm being honest, and Lily Rose.
It did, and that maybe that's the case. Maybe in this extended version, the village will make a little bit more sense. I know we saw the naked lady on the horse, and they went to the graveyard, and we saw him in the casket. We saw the glimpse of him. Like, okay, I get it. It was another area like the Harry Potter dude. I forget the weird servant dude. It kind of felt incomplete, if that makes sense. And it felt like after it was over, I forgot it even happened. I didn't even pay it any other mind. You know what I mean? Because constantly in the film, you're kind of going bump jumping, like you're using the context of what you know to inform what's happening. You know what you're seeing, and I never once, like, I was honestly kind of annoyed with the knock servant guy, and I forgot that the village thing even happened. So I felt like those two things, those were the two things about the movie. And again, maybe Aaron's right. Maybe in this extended cut, it'll make a hell of a lot more sense. I don't know. I hope so. I do. But who knows? We'll see. Overall, the thing is a 9.5 out of 10 for me. It is incredibly well done. The performances, the cinematography, the writing, the editing, it's spectacular. It was just those little pieces of things that, like you said, largely deal with information and the information that the audience is receiving about this. And I'm not saying that we have to know everything either. I know that strategic ambiguity can be a good thing, can be a good method of storytelling. But it just felt like we kept, again, more so than the village, that servant character, we just kept coming back to him, and I felt like we weren't really getting a payoff of why we keep coming back to this character.
And it's there. I feel like there's a really thin line between keeping ambiguity in the story and just straight up leaving plot holes.
Yeah.
And I believe that the film kind of dances with that line, so to speak, because obviously and I'll probably make the decision on whether or not that it sidesteps either one when the physical release comes out, because there's just this the all things considered, cinematography, everything else, acting, set design, everything top notch without a doubt. I just felt like when it came to the story itself and the script, it just felt like there were multiple like unexplored plot lines, which would have added to the tension of the film that we were already having tensions with, but we kind of like swept it away for quote unquote promiscuous undertones, if I do say so. And that's not me knocking the movie at all. I'm not knocking the movie at all. I'm just saying that like I wanted more from the movie, and I feel like it could give me that, and I can't wait for the physical release to come out so that I can get more from the movie, because again, Nosferatu, the story of itself of just evil and dread, like infecting a town, and the idea of like almost zero to no hope. It's extremely brooding, extremely emotional, and extremely not for the faint of heart. And didn't make sense, but it's definitely not for the faint of heart. And it's definitely
it's not.
It's definitely an IPA of movies. It's an acquired, mature taste, if I do say so.
There are some horror films that you can watch and you can feel, you take a film. I'm shooting blank here. Thanksgiving, who directed that? Who was that? I'm blanking.
I don't remember who.
I'm blanking. Eli Roth. You take a film like that. Yes, it's a horror film, but it's fun. You can have fun with it. You can have fun with the jump scares. This is a film that fills you, like the characters. It fills you with dread. It fills you with that sense of uncomfortable dread that just kind of sinks deeper and deeper and deeper throughout the film. So it was really well done, and I very much enjoyed it. Miguel, what's your rating? I said 9.5.
Yeah, I think I would give it a solid, like, I don't know. First watch, everybody knows the rules. Don't sue me, Dave. But
what? Where did that come from?
I think I was going off of like Dave Portnoy's like thing where he's like, one bite, everybody knows the rules. But
as long as it's not the Goodfellas episode. But
I would give it probably a 8.6 if I do say so. That's just because like a 10 and a 9. Like I totally agree with Dave's perspective on ratings. Like a 9 is like, you were pretty much saying this thing is damn near perfect. There are definitely a lot about this movie I wish we got more of. And that's not to say that like when this physical release come out and more scenes come out, if we do get them, it's not to say that the film would increase more. I may give it a 9 because that's how good it is. But right now it sits at like an 8.5, if I would say, just because there's a lot that I felt was inconsistent in the film that I just wanted more. And because of that, I don't want to like punish a movie for it, but I'm going to punish a movie for it. If that makes sense.
Right. I get it. So, and again, maybe that extended cut will change your mind.
Yeah.
I really do. I want to watch it again. And because I think, especially when you have a film with a lot of like a lot of the stuff, I mean, a lot of times like Willem Dafoe's character kind of lays it on thick with the exposition sometimes where it's like what? Like I have to process what you just said. Like you just said a lot of things right now. So I'm like, maybe I missed a couple of things that I need to kind of sink in. So I need to sink my teeth into on a second watch. But Aaron said, what do you guys think of so many people not being fans of Orlok's look, especially his mustache?
Okay, I have one thing.
I thought it was great. I thought the mustache was fine. It was creepy.
Strictly one thing is the fact that I have one thing about Bill Skarsgård's design. One, I'll say this: the fact that it is a silent movie, it gives Eggers an opportunity to do what he likes, so what his interpretations, what he thought, how he thought Count Orlok should be acting. when it comes to the hair, mustache, and all that stuff, I was in the camp at first of like, I didn't really like it. It's stupid. It sounds stupid. I like Count Orlok's old design a lot more because it felt more uncanny valley. I told Brad about that term where it's like the person looks human but not human, so that's what makes it uneasy. Right. So to see Count Orlok, mustached out and with the fucking slick back, like it was kind of new. It was new to the point where like I didn't feel like that was who I was expecting Count Orlok to look like based on the two films and everything else that we got from pop culture. But I didn't really. But now I felt like it made sense considering the timepiece and all the information we know about like Count Dracula and vampires and how how vampires are usually supposed to be portrayed. But now that I've said that, I do have a problem with not necessarily his voice, because again, it probably matches with the geography that he's in. It's the fucking wheezing that was annoying the shit out of me.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, dude sounds like dude sounds like he smokes 7 packs of Pall Malls a day, like,
which again confuses the living fuck out of me because like this is a vampire. This is a vampire. This is the undead. So like, why does
dude's lungs are old, bro?
Yeah, but why is he in need of the lungs to breathe? Like the man is the living dead. Like he doesn't need lungs, and everything I would read about like and know about vampires, like they are the 10 times versions of us. Like they are the evolved like hunters that we could never be. So like it's just weird the fact that like we have this man who can literally kill an entire village and town and country for all that matter, and still sounds like this. I used to be a smoker. Now I'm funny. Like, I'm sorry if I'm making fun of someone, but and that's coming from someone that smoked before. But
you did.
I'm just saying. It just really threw me off with the wheezing. Well, the whole design and everything else was fine.
Yeah, so first of all, the wheezing thing is hilarious because at the scene at the 3 days thing when he gives her the ultimatum or whatever. Dude, he isn't sneaking up on anybody. Like the minute Nosferatu was in the room with her, he was all like,
yeah, like you think
before he even spoke a word. Like the minute that Lily Rose Depp turned around, it was like, I can't even do it without coughing.
Which okay, I get it. I get like in the previous like the exposition that I felt like the Goblin gave us. From Harry Potter, like whatever the name was, the realtor, the boss,
the Harry Potter Goblin.
Yeah, the exposition he gave us prior of like Count Orlok was the fact that like yes, he is someone that is just looking to retire, quote unquote, looking to die somewhere. Like he's looking for his retirement home to go die. So he's looking for his Florida condo to like relax. So we already knew coming in that like, oh, buddy was like on his last legs. I didn't know if I like vibed with that story, honestly, because like the man was strictly based on just made it feel like, oh, buddy was just like on his last legs, which doesn't make sense because for a vampire, their goal is to like suck as much blood and that rejuvenates them. It's like kind of like their power up, I guess.
Aaron makes a good point. He said maybe that's maybe he had some kind of breathing condition when he died, became a vampire, and then whatever state he was in at the time is how he's forever immortalized.
Cool. Yeah.
Maybe he had lung cancer or something like that.
Cool. Yeah. I'm basing my perspective on like what I've known with like vampires. So like it's not to say that like, I'm just nitpicking right now at this point. So don't take it the wrong way. I'm just saying that like it's a new way of going about like vampires, if I do say so.
Yeah.
So
I will say that to bounce off of your question, Aaron. The look really threw me off at first. I was kind of bummed out that it wasn't going to be the traditional Nosferatu. I assumed they would make some changes. I mean, obviously it wasn't going to be identical to the original, but I assumed it would kind of be in that same wheelhouse. And I was a little bummed at first, but it kind of grew on me. The mustache, I have mixed feelings about. I don't know how I feel about the mustache. Like, part of me thinks, yeah, it looks really cool, but like after he bites her and you see like her like flesh pull away from like the mustache hairs, I was kind of like,
geographically it makes sense. I'll say
like,
that.
it does. It was just
Yeah.
again. It's nasty.
I'll say this.
Gross.
I'll say this. The scene where Lily Rose and Count Orlok finally meet in the house while what's her name was sleeping. That right there is probably one of my favorite scenes of Count Orlok.
It was a good one.
Like
It was a good
that was really good, really well put together. The way the shadows covered him, the way he looked in this dread, and just like,
yeah,
just like it was really well done. But I just felt that old buddy just looked like he looked more like, how can I say this? He looked like a parasite with a mustache, if that makes sense. Like the scene that we got of like him like quote unquote raping Nicholas Holt's character, like the man looks like a mole. He looks like a infection that just has a mustache and a slick back. So I didn't really understand why we needed to see him like fully fucking naked when he's hunting. Like when he's like truly hunting, he's naked. But when he's not, he's well dressed and shit like that. So like I found that really weird. Everything from his face,
weird sexual
really
undertone.
Good. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But everything from the face to the outfit, I actually enjoyed. But it was just the fact that like when he's actually going for the kill, oh, but he's straight naked. It's just one of those like weird like Buffalo Bill kind of thing, where it's like he just has to like do this because that's like his kink whenever he like kills someone.
He's got to be in his most primal state.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, how did you feel? I was gonna ask because this is an interesting question, I assume. How did you feel about his choice of extracting the blood? Because sometimes there were sometimes where he was going for the neck like a typical vampire, like when he was attacking the kids, when he was attacking the people in the ship. And
I didn't hate it. I didn't honestly, I didn't really pay it much mind. It didn't bother me. I mean, I don't know.
It was just the fact that like out of everyone else, like he was strictly like going for the neck for like random strangers, but when it came to Nicholas Hoult and Lily Rose's character, he went straight for the heart. And I thought that was a really interesting thing that I would honestly, I hope that they flesh out more, or at least someone could flesh out more for me, because it was just so interesting to think that like it felt like for the other victims he was solely there just to kill, but for Nicholas Hoult and Lily Rose, it felt more like a sensual thing for him.
Unless, that's what I was going to say. Maybe it was really more of a personal.
Yeah.
It was more of a personal act rather than I'm just killing for food. You know what I mean? Like the dudes on the ship, like you clearly see him, like he gets a chunk out of his neck. And like that's, but there was no connection to them. There was no connection to the people on the ship. They were just people that were there to die,
Yeah. So I think that was something that I actually would like to have expounded upon in like the other physical installment of the film. But I know I read somewhere where like the only reason why he did that is because that's closer to the heart, which would be the easiest way to get the blood. But if that's the case, you should go for the chest for everybody, So it didn't really, and also the whole neck thing doesn't make any sense either. Like attacking someone at the neck, going for someone at the chest makes more sense than attacking someone at the neck. I'll say this, I'll say that.
I get it.
But it just seemed odd that he chose different areas to do that. So it was just interesting.
It seems oddly specific.
oddly
that
specific, I would say.
he would do that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I wanted like some more answers as to why that was happening. Like maybe from Willem Dafoe or the villagers, or
Right.
maybe even their fucking Reinfeld, I guess. Like
I will say I thought it was very interesting that um he didn't kill Nicholas Holt's character at the beginning.
well, I think it was the fact that like he got away. I think he was I think Count Orlok was using him as like a blood bag for a little bit, like suck some blood, go to bed, and then recover. Because like he was obviously not well when
He wasn't. You're
first
right. You're
met.
right.
Like
Yeah.
he was obviously not well. Clearly like deficient of blood, deficient of iron, all that other
Yeah.
bullshit. And when he finally got a hold of Nicholas, he wanted to like dry him up like really well. So like he was going to use him consistently, but unfortunately, not unfortunately, but fortunately, Nicholas was able to escape. But I think Count Orlok was already like, quote unquote, ready to go at that point in time.
Yeah.
So I think the last, if he was to stay one more night, it would have been over. And it was so interesting because like I wanted that story to be like, I wanted it to be like Nicholas Holt's character like signed a deal where like he signed a deal to be forever trapped at that castle, and Count Orlok is now free, kind of thing. Like that would have been really cool. Where like Nicholas Holt's character couldn't leave because he was contractually like trapped in the castle. Like that would have been a really
or
cool story,
if
like,
he would have tried, he would have stayed instead of Lily Rose, which of course I guess he didn't know that it was her. I guess it technically at the beginning, but yeah, very, very interesting. Aaron said, I thought it did make it more nasty, which is good, especially when you see the mustache blood soaked and it was dripping off of it. Ew.
No,
Yeah, it was
for
pretty
people that
ew.
enjoy the bloody gore of that stuff, yes. I think the mustache did it. I wouldn't say the reason why they had the mustache put in there was to make it more bloody or nasty. I think that was just purely like out of like, staying true to like where they were at that time.
Yeah.
But I do agree. It did enhance the part of it.
Well, like I said, when he pulled away, like her flesh was like it was dripping from his lips, and her flesh like pulled with the mustache, and I was like I remember like you and I sitting in the theater, and I was like, ugh. It just
So that's good.
Looks
so that's
nasty.
good. Like I do agree, Robert. I do agree Eggers did a good job in regards to that aspect, if that's what he was going for.
I'm telling you, when I say that this is an uncomfortable movie, like I say that as a compliment. Like it's a good thing that this was an uncomfortable movie. Like that's the goal. Like this movie would not have been effective if it would have been fun and comfortable to watch. Like the fact that you're going, I don't like that. Like you're kind of crawling in your skin a little bit. Like that's a good thing. That's the goal. So, for real, I thought Nosferatu was spectacular. It definitely lived up to the expectation. It makes you feel kind of look grimy when you're exiting. So last topic of tonight's show, episode number 126. Thank you guys so much for all of you that have been in the chat. I love it. It's awesome to see you all in the chat. Our first show back 28 years later. As I said at the beginning of the show at the top, I've been a huge fan. I actually have all my zombie films right up here. I've got the Split Days and Weeks in my Fox, my 20th Century Fox rip. There's not a Blu-ray release of that. Can you believe that?
Of 28 Days Later?
Yes, there is not a Blu-ray.
It's finally physical copies of 28 Days Later. It's finally
just now going to be on digital. Like I think like last week it came out on digital, like very recently, since all of this stuff has started to kind of come together. But I love 28 Days Later. I have a ton of respect for that movie. It's one of the few films that genuinely freaks me out. The score, I can listen to the score. I know because I've done it before. I can listen to In the House in a Heartbeat, which is the main theme for 28 Days Later, in the car, and I feel eerie. I will get goosebumps. Like, it is a very eerie movie. and it genuinely freaks me out. It always has. And I love it for that. I love the way it's shot. It has this grainy, like 90s 2000 look to it. I think the zombies are very well done and very artistically done. It's different, it's new, it's a different take on the zombie genre. I've got a whole video on whether or not it's a zombie film. It's a zombie film. If you think it's a zombie film, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. I love you, but you're wrong. It's a zombie movie. There's tons of good things I can say about 28 Days Later. Again, we'll hit that in another video. We'll probably get to those on Purely and Simply Evil. I'd say we'll do 28 days and 28 weeks before the release of the next film.
Yeah, I'd say we definitely get to both.
I would like to do that. Now, when 28 Years Later was announced, I was thrilled. I was like, this is awesome. Weird that we're skipping over months. Whatever. Okay, cool. And then, sorry, I muted. I didn't mean to. Then there was the news that it was going to be a trilogy, and I was like, okay, interesting. I'm okay. I was thrilled that Danny Boyle and Alex Garland were coming back. I think the two of them did a really, really, really great job with the first film. Weeks was good. I enjoyed 28 Weeks Later, not quite to the extent of the first film. But you know, it still played around in that wheelhouse. It's got a really, really great opening. The opening scene of that film is really, really wonderful. And it's terrible and it's sad, but it's wonderfully done. You know, it's a very specific vibe that Danny Boyle created, and he's a really good filmmaker, and I've always been a fan of his work. And you know, of course, I believe we got the poster first. This was the initial poster for 28 Years Later. All of the skulls in the Biohazard logo. Time didn't heal anything, which I think is a really, really cool catchphrase. You got the Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Once again, we're still talking. Something just fell upstairs. We're still talking Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ralph Fiennes. You know, really good cast of actors. And then I saw before I watched the trailer, I saw this poster, and I was like, okay. In 28 days it began, in 28 weeks it spread, in 28 years it evolved.
I think that's what's scaring you.
It is what's scaring me, because I think what I liked so much about 28 Days Later is it is a very grounded, it's not a Resident Evil. It's not a, you know, part of what makes The Last of Us so great, or The Walking Dead so great, is that it is a grounded story. It could actually happen. Yeah. And I loved I love that 28 days wow, I can't speak. 28 days later. Aussie, mate. I love that 28 days later feels like a nightmare that could actually happen. Like, it seems like, given everything we've seen with COVID, given everything we see with you know, with biohazard, you know, bacteria, viruses, things like that. Like, it feels like something that could be real. And when I read in 28 years it evolved, I was kind of like, okay, are we going to take this really cool, grounded story, and are we going to go 3 sheets to the wind and just do something crazy with it? And then I watched the trailer, and you know, I waited. I thought we were going to do a trailer reaction. Ended up just deciding to watch it. You've got the poem, which I think the poem actually has a really deep. The poem that kind of keeps repeating throughout the trailer. It's kind of funny. It reminds me of the Bucky thing where they're just saying random words to like put him into this Winter Soldier trance, where they're like 27 blue quarter pizza. What, the poem?
Yeah.
Explain it to me again, because I don't remember.
So if I probably like it was. I'm gonna butcher it while I try to figure it out, but It's one of those poems that's primarily based on war, if I'm not mistaken. And let me see if I can find it. Um, Boots by Rudyard Kipling, and the poem was used. It's like, how can I say this?
I found a description.
Yeah, it was just a so the poem was here it is. So the poem was used in military training since World War II, and soldiers were like told to listen to this recording repeatedly in small rooms to prepare for capture and torture. And it's just one of those poems that's like very like uneasy the way it's expressed, and I think the way it's being read
So
really captures like the dread of like what it is that war was going to like encapsulate for them.
yeah, so this says it's meant to imply impending doom. The poem
Mm-hmm.
itself is terrifying enough. The percussive chant of an infantryman marching towards battle, trying to overcome his grinding sense of impending doom. But Holmes's rendition almost defies definition. It begins haunted, but gradually rises to a possessed roar as Holmes wails over and over again, "There's no discharge in the war." By its climax, he's screaming at the top of his lungs, a prisoner of his own madness. It's a scarring listen. So that's kind of the soundtrack essentially to the trailer for the 28 years later trailer.
Yeah, which definitely like enhances the trailer very well
It
in
does.
regards
It's a
to like
very well
what
done
happened.
trailer. And
Mm-hmm.
I also like that it doesn't really give you any plot. Like you're just seeing random things without any
Mm-hmm.
context, which is
Mm-hmm.
cool. And there were some things that made me kind of intrigued. There's obviously we see that it looks like there's some kind of an evolved or altered infected. We see one that looks really, really large. We also see, which kind of blew my mind, they behave very strangely. I think back to Jim when he walks into the church in the first film, and there's infected kind of sitting there dormant.
Mm-hmm.
And when he says hello the first time, they kind of go, and they just stare at him like that for a minute before they like take off. And it's very eerie and weird. And there's a moment where you see there's a tree kind of center in the frame, and there's like 6 or 7 infected running towards the camera like they do, but there's one just kind of standing there like with its head turned looking at the camera, and I'm like, okay, that's weird. Here's what I hope we don't do. If you want to do involved or involved, they're involved. They're good parents now. If you want to do like evolved infected, okay, fine. They're stronger. They're bigger. They're whatever the case may be. Okay, but I am not a fan of zombies. Think what Zack Snyder did with that Army of the Dead movie. I adore Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead from 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely adore it. But I don't like smart zombies. Give me The Walking Dead. Give me The Last of Us. Give me Dawn of the Dead from 2004. Give me 28 Days Later. I don't want these infected or these zombies to use weapons or to speak or to think. I want them to still be these primal creatures that are just rage-filled monsters. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. Like I don't want them to be, I don't want them to use weapons. I don't want them to strategize. I don't want them to work as a team. Like I don't want that. That's not the vibe that I'm going for. The first 2 films weren't like that. That's not how I've built it up in my head. Like that's where I'm scared here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you want to show the effects, which I'm going to talk about this, I found this Empire article that I'm really really intrigued to get your thoughts on this too, because it's got
Well,
some new information. If you want
yeah.
to show the effects of this happening of the outbreak over the last 28 years, dope, cool, show that. But again, I don't want to see smart zombies. That's weird to me, and especially for this franchise, that feels very, very strange.
Well, I was with you until the tail end of your statement with the zombies. Yeah, I don't want them to be talking. I don't want them to be acting human, I guess.
Communicating with each other, even if they're not talking. I don't want them to communicate.
Even then, like it'd been interesting for them to, not necessarily the word I'm looking for is strategizing, but working as a pack kind of thing, if that makes sense. Because like, yes, these are considered crazy zombies, like, like what's the term, rage zombies, I would say.
The rage virus.
I think there's something scarier about like channelized rage, if that makes sense. So like, it'd be interesting for so I'll say this with the channeled rage is like, what's more scary than a crazed amount of people is a crazed amount of people with a purpose. And I think that right there in and of itself is something that I'm kind of interested to see how they flesh out the evolved part of it. Because
That's fair.
To say this, I'll say this is the part where like I'm okay if you leave it ambiguous. Like, I'm okay with you like telling me, oh, these zombies are like starting to become like not necessarily aware, but they're like you can sense some sort of like intelligence, but very like bottom tier intelligence from them, but like almost primal intelligence, if that makes sense. So, but leave it at that. Like, we don't need to know everything else. I don't need a scientist to say, oh, they're evolving, they're becoming more like us, they're becoming more evolved, they're becoming a better version. Like, I don't fucking care about that. Okay, I'll leave that to Resident Evil and Wesker and all the other shit. Like, I'll leave it there. I'm okay with it being still like a bunch of people trying to survive 28 years later, and they are coming to the understanding of like, these zombies are starting to act a little weird. We don't know what's going on, but still we have to survive from them, because now that they're taking another step, then that means we have to take another step, if that makes sense.
Right. What's up, Josh? Josh said in 28, which this is true. He said in 28 weeks later, they played with the rage infection evolving/adapting. The guy's wife who was bitten had the virus but showed no symptoms, but was still able to transfer it. Yes, but still, that's more of a how the contagion spreads thing. You know what I mean? I think I don't necessarily. That kind of thing doesn't bother me. I'm talking like, I don't want the infected to suddenly be in this community where they're communicating and they're using weapons and I don't want them to evolve to where it's just another form of a stronger form of a human being.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want warm bodies.
I don't want smart infected. Like, it's at that point, it's just like, you just might as well do like another monster movie. Like, it doesn't feel like a zombie movie at that point. It doesn't feel like we're playing in the same wheelhouse as the first two films. If you want to say, okay, it's airborne, or okay, it's whatever. Like, if you want to change the way that the virus spreads, cool. But don't give me like an infected coming at me with some, sword made out of bone, or don't give me some infected that are like thinking and communicating with each other, and so like, I don't know. Exactly. Josh said the trailer didn't give too much away, which is, I think, was a good thing. I was happy about that. So this evolving may be done in a good way, something potentially new to the zombie/infected genre. And again, I really like Danny Boyle. He was able to come up with a brand new idea and kind of revitalize the zombie genre with 28 Days Later. Who's to say he can't do it again with 28 years later? I fully have faith in him and Alex Garland to do that. I don't want to stray so far from the original that it that it doesn't feel like 28 Days Later anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So here's this article that I wanted to share with you. So I think probably everybody saw that, which is the Empire article. This was who everybody thought was Cillian Murphy, and it ended up not being Cillian Murphy, obviously.
Yeah.
Now that I get a clear picture of it, I'm like, okay, no, that's not him. But I will say it did look like him towards the beginning. So, and there's a couple of other stills. 28 years later, a wholly different approach to the infected saga, says Danny Boyle. There's some infected behind them. They look pretty traditional.
They look rotting. I'll say that.
They do look rotting, but they don't look anything super different from what we've seen in the other films, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So this Empire article says there had never been a zombie film like 28 Days Later, not least because its zombies technically weren't zombies. Yes, they are. I will die on that hill. They are zombies. Back in 2002, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland ripped up the undead rulebook with hordes of flesh-eating former humans that weren't actually reanimated corpses, but infected with viral rage, who didn't shuffle and shamble like Romero zombies, but legged it full pelt, and who brought societal collapse not in the United States, yeah, I know, but across the UK. Now, Boyle and Garland are back with 28 years later, evolving the apocalypse decades beyond the events of Juan Carlos Fresnadillo's 2007 sequel, 28 Weeks Later, and kicking off an expansive new saga to boot. Non-zombies, once again, are all the rage. After years of noodling around possible ideas for where 28 could go next, Garland eventually came to Boyle with a version he wanted to make. It was a whole different approach, Boyle tells Empire. It was about what that 28 years gives you. Now, I'm here for that. If you're talking the people that are affected by the outbreak and the people that are affected by this virus and this contagion and this pandemic, great. I love it. That's freaking awesome. Like, give me that. I'm all for that. 28 Days Later depicted the early days of the outbreak. Even 28 Weeks Later only moved the story forward about 6 months per the demands of its title. But in 28 Years Later, Britain's straggling survivors, the rest of the globe remains relatively unaffected, leaving the UK to fend for itself, have learned to live in a full-on post-apocalyptic.
Bro, that makes no fucking sense now.
That is where I am just like, when I read that earlier, I was like, huh? So you mean to tell me that this is only England for 28? Now, I know that in 28 Weeks Later, it was only England. They managed to contain the pandemic to the United Kingdom. And that okay, cool. That works. I that's believable. I could see that. But I thought for sure this movie would start that it became a global pandemic and it was everywhere. You know what I mean? When I read that, I was like, it's still only. So you're telling me these people, like, if you could somehow escape the country, like, you could, like, the world is just living normally.
I think that's what the case is. Like, can people escape? Like, I thought, like, if there was absolutely a rage virus of so-called zombies, you would want either A, to completely eradicate it and absolutely fucking scorch earth that fucking island, or B, absolutely wall that bitch up like Jerusalem and fucking keep them out from affecting anyone else. So, like, I get the idea of isolationism where, like, no, we don't want to deal with it because, like, we don't want to run the risk of it traveling and becoming international. But at the same time, it's like anything can move that virus forward. Like, anything can push it to another place. And then guess what? You have another situation at hand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 28 years later.
Maybe, and maybe they really got it under control everywhere else. I mean, look at COVID. I mean, I hate that we have something real to look at, but, like, look at how quickly COVID dispersed itself all over the planet. Like, I find it hard to believe that this highly contagious virus in 28 Days Later somehow, like, they were really only able to confine this to one country. So
It
that
seems almost unrealistic. And
to
I know we're
me, that
talking
was
about a
mind
zombie
blowing.
movie, but like, fuck, dude.
That was absolutely mind blowing when I read that.
Hmm. I
So
would love to
to
see how they're. I would love to see how they justify that shit.
I said the same thing. Me too. Again, I'm not. I'm okay. I just it was. It kind of blew me away. I was like, wow. Here, Aaron Taylor Johnson's Jamie, Jodie Comer's Isla, and their 12-year-old son Spike are part of a community on Holy Island, aka Lindisfarne, connected to the UK mainland by a causeway only briefly accessible when the tide recedes each day. It's a closed and necessarily very tight community, says Boyle. There are very strict defense laws, obviously, to survive that long in what is effectively an ongoing hostile environment. They've created a successful community as they see it. It soon comes time for young Spike to take a rite of passage trip beyond the safety of Lindisfarne to open his eyes to the true state of the nation. Needless to say, things don't go to plan. That's just the beginning. What becomes of Jamie, Isla, Spike, and the rest of the UK is set to be depicted across an entire trilogy, beginning with Boyle's 28 years later, continuing in Nia DaCosta's 28 years later, The Bone Temple.
Oh, what?
I know that also scares me. That I don't like that title at all, which has already been shot, and culminating in a third Boyle-helmed entry, which won't go into production until audiences respond to the first film. That right there tells me they're going for it. They're changing things.
They're testing something.
They are really testing something new with this. And again, that first paragraph with the whole Holy Island, Lindisfarne, whatever, where it's this community that's been created of survivors and they're sustainable. It sounds like an Alexandria type situation. Like it sounds very Walking Dead, very Last of Us. Okay, cool. I'm here for that. But the Bone Temple thing, that's where I'm like, okay, what are you talking about? What is the Bone Temple? What do you mean?
I'll say this.
What are we talking about here?
It'd be very cool if the community, there's a community out there that is strictly being a cult about this. Because let's be honest, 28 years into this, there's definitely a cult for these zombies. There has to be. So it'd be interesting for it to be one of those things where they talk about the idea of a cult being attributing to these rage zombies. That'd be cool. Don't let it be evolved zombies making a fucking religion.
Yeah,
I'll say that. That's definitely not something I'm looking forward to.
So to finish this out, for screenwriter Garland, the trilogy is no cash grab but purely story driven. This is what's saving me. Alex Garland has said that this is very narrowly ambitious. Danny and I understood that, he explains. We tried to condense it, but its natural form felt like a trilogy. Get ready then for an infected epic. You don't just get to do a story on this scale in this country, says producer Andrew McDonald. To do something in Britain that feels like it has size is great. Rage on. So that's where we're headed. Aaron, I agree with you. Keep it simple, stupid. I kind of agree there, and I hope we don't go too buku crazy with it. But who knows? Aaron also said, "I've heard that while the actor in the shot isn't Cillian Murphy, it isn't ruled out that it's supposed to be his character as an infected, whether real or a dream sequence." Yeah, I don't know. I've also heard conflicting things. For a while, it was Jim is supposed to be a part of the trilogy, his character, in a way that grows. But for a while, they said, yes, Jim is going to be in this movie. And then they were also like, no, never mind, Jim is not in this movie. So it's okay. To me, that would be great. If you added the original 3 main characters into this trilogy, I think that would be a really, really helpful bridge in between what came before and now. I think that would be a really, really wise move if the 3 of them are willing to do it. Again, the fact that the fact that they're saying this is not a cash grab, this is very story driven. The fact that they waited for so long to tell another 28 months, days, years, weeks, decades, whatever. The fact that they waited so long to tell a new story tells me that, okay, it is something that they believe in, and it's something that they're, and Danny Boyle and Alex Garland don't seem like two filmmakers that would just throw garbage out there for the sake of throwing garbage out there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think they're going to ruin it. I really don't. But I'm also scared too, because I have a lot of respect for that movie, and I don't want it to be ruined. You know what I mean? I really don't. So, real quick, these last couple of comments. Josh Boyd said, maybe the twist is John Hammond from Jurassic Park sees something in the infected and opens a new island for zombies.
Good one, Josh.
That'd be wild. I have seen this, Josh. Josh said part of this new one was filmed on an iPhone 15 Pro Max using a cool setup. Maybe this will give us that kind of look feel the original film had. It's it being current HD, but same feel. Yeah, I think you're correct in that. 100%. I do agree with you that I think it will have that same look and feel. The trailer has Jimmy written on things. I've seen that too. Maybe this is referencing Jim, that he might be in charge of something going on at some point in this new Plan trilogy. Yeah, I don't think it would just be a cameo as an infected. That seems cheap to me. Like, I feel like, and especially they said it's his character grows throughout the trilogy. Like, I think Jim will be around.
Maybe he lives in the Bone Temple. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, whatever. I wouldn't be mad if they changed that name, but again,
I don't know, man. In the trailer, you definitely see a Temple of Bones.
I know. We'll see. We shall see. But guys, this has been an absolute blast. We are about almost 2.5 hours in. Holy crap! What a hell of a first show to come back after an extended break. Not sure when the next live stream will be. Like I said, you can go back to the beginning of the episode and check out. We've got some channel updates and things like that we talked about at the beginning. We're going to try to get new content out at least every other week. If we exceed that, awesome. But we're going to try to make that our standard of when we release some new stuff for you. So, and of course, if there's some movie news, something like that, again, if we exceed that and we want to hop on and do a live stream, or if we hop on and take a video, do a video, if Miguel and I choose to make a video together, we'll upload that on sites.
Except YouTube.
But yeah, if there's movie news or something directly to talk about right then, we'll obviously make a video about it. But thank you all for being here. The chat was awesome tonight. You all were in here and talking and having conversations and contributing. That's awesome. We love to see that. Make sure to leave it a like. Again, I will leave the link to help out with those wildfires, just a couple of different ways. I'll put that in the description. I'll put that in the comments. But we love you guys. You are absolutely amazing. Josh said, take care, Brad and Miguel. As always, show is great. See you, man. Gory, peace out, buddy. Until the next time, guys, we will see you. Peace.
Bye.